Hi everyone, Steve Mostyn. This is my second weekly roundup video, and thank you again everyone for some really encouraging comments, questions, insights. I think over 500 comments on the discussion boards this week. Fantastic, and thank you to our tutor team, and this week thanks to our assessor team for doing such great work on marking and getting feedback for you on the first submission. So that's great. So we're moving this week from the job of the leader envisioning and engaging into the job of the leader choosing and connecting. And the interesting phrase here is the job of the leader. What is the job of the leader? Let's hold that thought and think about what do we mean by that. I want to reframe it in terms of what is the work of leadership? What is the work that only you can do? Is a very helpful way to really think about your role. And I'm always keen to move into the practicalities from the faculty inputs and videos and models. There was a really helpful post from Jeff Bauer. And Jeff, I'll just read this out for everyone's benefit. Just to follow on from this, I've been answering all questions thus far based on my own experience and my own organisation, yet I read a lot of answers across all the discussion boards that seem heavy on theory, not experience. I'm now questioning whether I've taken the right approach. To answer my own question, I feel the course is more beneficial if I apply it to my own world. Well, Jeff, absolutely. And let's think about the purpose of the programme. It's to give you some models and templates and approaches and absolutely theory. But theory for me is a dead concept if you don't apply it in practice. Hence my obsession with small experiments. And try some of this in your workplace, because you won't grow as a leader unless you make some small steps of courage to lead differently. So absolutely. This is all about the dynamic of theory into practice. I love the comment from Stephen Covey some years ago. All ideas are created twice. Once as an idea and once in practice. And the practice of leadership is one of these wonderful double meaning words. The more you practice, the more you develop your own practice. And that's what I'd encourage you to do. This week as well, in the wider world, Gallup, who do all these huge opinion surveys, listed 20 in their 2020 journal, the top items that every manager should be aware of. And depressingly, in a global study, they believe that only 13% of employees are fully engaged. And shockingly, a second statistic, this was actually quoted by Harvard Business Review, that 58% of employees would trust a stranger more than their manager. What a disappointing statistic on both counts here. So Gallup are sort of saying that a significant amount of people are disengaged with their organisation. And we've just been spending the last module talking about envisioning and engaging. Now, the good news for you is the bar isn't very high, is it, for you to be great leaders? So can we play around with that a little bit more? And my view on this is that leaders are often insecure when they transition. And there was a question from Gloria Chan earlier this week of, can you talk a bit more about transition? Well, I think all successful leadership development is the successful transition from one role to another. And there's a slight contradiction here. If you're unsuccessful in your career into leadership, the research suggests that people overplay their existing strengths. So the finance person becomes an even bigger finance person, etc., etc. As a leader, you have such an important role in the mental health, engagement, trust of your team. And I believe that in my fusing of the research, the number one issue is that people like scope of control and decision making. And the number one thing that frustrates the hell out of people is micromanagement. So a quick message, have a read of this and think about it. If you can do one thing, stop micromanaging. Stop micromanaging your teams. You will grow as a leader, they'll grow as a team. I think it's the number one cause of stress and frustration and kills productivity. So transition, productivity, micromanaging, envisioning and engaging. Really interesting topics. And also quite a lot of topics or discussion around the idea of your journaling. And I'm glad that some of you are taking up the journal. Siaya Elakobi said to me in a very positive way that she felt more comfortable around a particular discussion or answer. And I would say to all of you, comfortable is okay, but uncomfortable is equally okay. In fact, if you're going to grow, I'd actually to find something you feel a little bit uncomfortable about in your team and try your mini experiment. And the mini experiment might be not having all the answers. I'm very intrigued. And this idea of the journal, I think draw yourself 2 lines in the journal. What happened? And then how did I feel? And if you're noticing discomfort, I know you're onto something. So play around with discomfort. But productive discomfort, not so you're unstressed that you're incapable, but if you're noticing that just feels a little bit difficult for me, you are onto something. And in those onto something moments of uncomfortableness, guess what? You're growing as a leader. I want to close out with, I was very fortunate this week to meet Bob Chapman. Bob is the CEO of Barry Waymiller. It's an American packaging company. And his whole approach, summarized in this book, Everybody Matters, is an absolutely radical human-based process to engage and develop his business. Now, his business outperforms the market. They talk about people and purpose. They talk about leadership as stewardship, growing the human side. So it's a 100% human methodology of engaging teams and growing his business. But I want to end on one of your other colleagues' fantastic video she posted. Jade Perry, thank you for the wonderful video. It's called, you can Google it. I won't even put up the link because the Google will get you to be curious. A brand new day in a children's hospital at Philadelphia Children's Hospital. I think that's the title. Jade, thank you for posting that. It's probably one of the most succinct, clear examples of vision that I've seen that every single employee of that hospital could understand and get engaged about, also emotionally engaged. So Jade, thank you for sharing that. We're going to get into network and connecting this next week. Think about your network. Does it serve you? And how are you building a network for the future? By the way, this program is a wonderful way to build a network for the future, as you're already doing. So thank you, everyone. Have fun, and remember,